You couldn't tell, there's nothing I love more than finding a tool that solves a problem that I have. I made a video all about some underrated tools that I really liked last year, and y'all loved it. The feedback on the video was nuts, and I knew I had to film another. So I collected a pile of tools that I love using, filmed the video, and then nonstop news. I'm sitting on this one for a little bit, so apologies. If you like trying out tools that make your life easier, both as a dev and as a non-dev, there's a lot of cool stuff in this video. I still use all the stuff in it every day. Hopefully you benefit from it. So without further ado, let's hear from Blonde Theo. This tool is interesting. It's an extension for the browser that fixes a lot of the annoyances I have with GitHub. It's called Refined GitHub, and I cannot believe I didn't know about this before or that I didn't have it start. So I just fixed that. Refined GitHub has a lot of little niceties that have made my life much better. Small things like it changes the color based on recency here. But the one I've relied on the most is in projects that have a lot of pull requests, like this one, Quick Pick, which my video just came out on and people flipped on. I had a ton of PRs open on this. It is so much easier for me to go through things due to it. First off, it will change your default sort. So if I go from code back to pull requests, it changes the sort order by default, as you saw when I switched tabs. Now it's going to be sorted by what's most recently updated, not what was most recently opened. This should be the default sort. I don't know why it isn't. It's so nice they just sneak that in for me. But they also add a little bit of niceties around here too, where if I request changes, it shows that there. It shows the updated time there in really big letters. It makes navigating things on GitHub and dealing with giant projects with a lot of contributors significantly easier. I've been enjoying it a lot. You should give it a shot. Next is a tool you guys are probably familiar with because I use it for all of my videos. But do you know what else I have in all my videos? A sponsor. So let's hear from them really quick. Do you know what T3 Chat is? If you do, cool. But if you don't, let's do a real quick overview. It's the best AI chat app ever made. And when I say that, I mean it. I used all the other apps, they sucked, so I spent way too much time building my own, and I've been blown away with it. Both in how hard it is to make, but more importantly, how supportive y'all have been since I put it out. We have tens of thousands of people using T3 Chat every single day, and none of them can go back to the other sites because they kind of suck to use now. Be it the model picker with literally every single model you'd ever want to use, the image gen that actually works using the OpenAI image gen stuff. So yeah. You get 100 images a month, plus access to all of these other models, 1,500 messages a month to the vast majority of them. A couple expensive ones are locked under a premium tier. You'll see all that when you sign up. Our free tier is also super generous. If you stick to models like Gemini 2.5 Flash, you can probably use this for free. But if you want the fancy models, it's only $8 a month for everything I just showed. I know you probably think we're going bankrupt, but it's on the line. I know it's one of the best deals in AI because, again, I've used all the other apps. We picked this price for a reason. I'm really proud of what we built. If you haven't signed up yet, definitely give it a shot. You can try it out for free, or if you want one free month of the pro tier, we'll give 300 people a free subscription for a month using the code cool-tools at checkout. Don't cancel and resub, by the way. It won't work. It just hurts our metrics a ton. Seriously, this will only work for new users. It's how Stripe is set up. I wish I could give it to you guys otherwise, but it is what it is. And thank you all again for the support. It's been unreal being able to pitch my own product in videos like this. This video is all about tools I use every day. This is a tool I use every day. If you want to see why, go give it a shot. Anyways, back to whatever Blonde Theo was just saying. Sorry about that. Need to pay bills and keep my team fed. Anyways, on the topic of how I keep my team fed, Excal is an essential tool for us. Sorry I had it in light mode. It defaults there, and I honestly like the light mode, but I know you guys get blinded, so I'll throw it in dark. Excal made me fall in love with whiteboarding. I've had horrible penmanship my entire life. I almost got held back in elementary school because of how unreadable my own writing was. As such, I've always hated whiteboarding, especially for interviews. I was so nervous going into interviews because if I had to be on a whiteboard, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd just be frozen trying to make my letters readable. Excal was the first time I could do something like whiteboarding and diagramming without being limited by my penmanship. And if it wasn't for Excal, I don't know if I would have ever started content creation, because when I used this tool, I could diagram the things I was thinking and use that to show my teams and the people I worked with what I was building or doing or what needed to happen. And they liked that way of communication so much that it became much more common at Twitch for people to diagram things while they were working. I started doing that in my own talks with friends, eventually my own streams, and then that became my videos. And to this day, the majority of my top videos are mostly me just drawing things out. I fell in love with diagramming because of this app, and I don't know if I would have become a creator if it wasn't for how this taught me to show the things I was thinking so others could understand them. So thankful for Excal. It's also open source. So if you want to play with it, embed the canvas in your own apps or do anything else, the code's all there for you to play with. I subscribe to the pro version both because I want to support them, but also because I really, really like having a bunch of different canvases that I've made, as well as teams and collections and all those things. I think it's like $5 a month. I don't even care. It's so worth it. Now back to dev tools. I'm sure a lot of you were around for the Insomnia collapse. If you're not familiar, Insomnia was a tool for testing things against APIs, kind of similar to Postman. It was open source, but it's been falling apart since it was acquired. And Bruno quickly got a lot of attention as an open alternative that has a ton of useful functions in it. One of the coolest things is that it works with Git, so you can have a folder in your project that has all of your schemas or the things you want to test against. And then you can just open up Bruno, point it at that repo, and it will let you replay events directly. The UI is super simple and minimal, should look very familiar if you've used things like this before, and it's been my go-to to quickly just hit an endpoint and get data back to make sure things are working how I expect. It's been really nice to work with. It has none of the weird quirks and crap around variable management that Postman has, but I was just informed by my chat there's another alternative called Yak. Yak is by the person who made Insomnia. It's also open source. It's been in dev for a while. People seem to be loving it. I haven't personally tried this one, but it's worth a look if you haven't given it a shot. Next is one that I have a whole dedicated video coming out for soon, so keep an eye out for that. It might even be out already. Editor's note, stuff it in, put a little note that says it's already out. Raycast is a replacement for one of my favorite Mac features, Spotlight. I have it bound as the same hotkey that Spotlight used to be, so I don't even know if I can access Spotlight at this point. If you're not a Mac user, what Spotlight is the command space hotkey that lets you search anything on your computer. Usually it's just a quick way to open up an app, but I use it for so much more. My favorite thing and the thing that got me hooked was the calculator, where I can just do math in here, hit enter, and now the results on my clipboard. It was so handy for that. And having a proper calculator history you can go through to grab data, I have relied on that far more than I probably should have. But you can also bind crazy things like hotkeys to switch apps. I have it set up so when I press Control 1 through 4, it goes to different apps that I use a lot. So if I do Control 3, it goes to my editor. If I go to Control 2, it goes to my terminal. Control 1 goes to my browser. Super nice. I don't know how I would use my Mac without Raycast at this point. It's free. They have a pro version. I haven't even subbed yet. I don't really know what it offers, but I've heard cool things. All worth checking out. On the topic of Raycast, I'm going to do a weird tangent to this little thing called SVGL. SVGL has been a lifesaver for me as a content creator because I regularly need to grab SVGs of all sorts of things, both in the dev world and out. Oh, look at that. T3. Wonder who that is. This is super, super handy if you want to copy an SVG. Now I have it on my clipboard. I can also save it or link to it directly. Super, super useful. But what's even more useful is having direct access via Raycast. I can type in SVG, comes up with search SVG logos, enter. I can type in, I don't know, blue sky, press enter. Now it's on my clipboard. If I go to my photo editor that I use for all my thumbnails, Affinity, now I can just paste things straight from SVGL. It's so useful when I need the TypeScript logo. I have it. Lifesaver for the type of stuff that we do. I don't know how I would make my thumbnails as quickly as I do without SVGL. Huge shout out to Pablo for making this and also open sourcing it. I know a handful of people from the community have started contributing. Great tool, great example of solving an annoying problem in an open source way, so it's solved for everyone else going forward. Now that we're kind of back into dev tools with this, might as well go all in, right? Next, we have Orbstack. I've been using Orbstack for a while now because Docker on Mac was rough during the ARM transition. Orbstack is an alternative to using Docker Desktop that lets you use Docker containers and have all the Docker commands without all of the messy, slow bloat that is Docker Desktop. I can't imagine installing Docker Desktop at this point. I avoid it to the best of my ability. Honestly, I avoid Docker images as much as I can for the most part, but recently I've needed to use them more for certain projects, and having this has been such a lifesaver. Everything launches immediately, apparently as an update. I'll ignore that. I have my open web UI, which is for, this is for Ollama, so I have a UI to hit my local Llama instance, which is super cool. I just have it spin up by default when I turn on my computer, I guess. And if I want to spin up any of these other things that I opened or created via Docker commands, they're all here for me to hit play, run, use, destroy, whatever. Super, super handy. It's free for personal use. I don't know how strict they are about that. I would recommend paying for it if you're actually making money using it, but it's relatively cheap, so worth considering. I've been very happy with this, and it has made using Docker significantly less miserable for me. On the topic of making tools less miserable for me, the Discord experience on computer kind of sucks, and Legcord has been helping me a ton. The history of Legcord is interesting. You might have actually heard about it before under a different name, ARMcord. ARMcord existed because Discord didn't have an ARM build for Mac for far too long, like hilariously far too long. You could use it using Rosetta, which was the x86 emulation layer, but it meant that Discord used way more battery and resources than it should have and felt way slower than it should have. ARMcord was a fork of Discord that was a minimal Electron wrapper that embedded the Discord web app and slowly added more and more native functionality so that you could have the things you expected from the native Discord app. It was named ARMcord because it was for ARM Macs. It slowly became the default alternative Discord client. And then ARM came in and DMCA'd them because ARM, the processor standard, is a licensed term, and they had their account on GitHub temporarily locked because they were using the trademark ARM that they don't own, which is just hilarious to me. So they renamed it to Legcord, and now they're doing fine. I've been using Legcord and previously ARMcord as my Discord client for a while now. It's way faster. It doesn't lock you out for updates every 2 to 3 days. The battery life is better. I don't want to use the default Discord app anymore. I like Legcord. You should consider it as well. Back to dev tools. Here's one you've probably heard about by now, and I've touched on in enough content, but I wanted to point it out here because it is something I'm using every day and liking quite a bit. Cursors become my editor of choice. Here's a project that hopefully the video is already shipped for, 1 app, 5 stacks, where I built the same app in 5 different stacks. I do not like the thought of having to do this without Cursor. It was so nice being able to write code in one of these app stacks, like writing something in the Phoenix version, copying the code, going over to the Rails version, pulling up the composer and being like, yo, make this fit the format of this file from this Elixir project. And it would just do it. Or even asking it questions or asking it, how do I do this? And having it all in the editor doing the right thing. It made it much easier for me to swap between languages, frameworks, and stacks without feeling like I was entirely underwater with no idea what's going on. It was really, really nice. And also when I was doing things like deploying on Cloudflare for the first time in years, the combination of Cursor plus Claude made me feel significantly more productive. If you haven't given it a shot, I do highly recommend it. I was super skeptical at first, and I think I actually churned twice, where I just went back to VS Code. But it is effectively VS Code. It's a fork of VS Code that I have fallen in love with and don't like the idea of writing code without. So my endorsement means anything, consider giving it a shot. And to close us out, one more extension, minimal theme for Twitter. I forget how much I love this because it's how I've used Twitter for a really long time now. It's by Typefully, who makes a platform for managing drafts and keeping track of things that you're doing on Twitter. They also have an actual analytics tool. It's quite a bit more useful than Twitter's. I use their platform a ton. It's where my drafts tend to go, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Like Typefully, cool, fine, whatever. Twitter itself is significantly more usable if you have this set up. Ads are gone. All the weird stuff on the sidebars is gone. When you look at replies, it's significantly more minimal. The sidebar is collapsed unless you hover, and even admittedly, the hover is kind of broken. It doesn't work all the time. The one problem with this extension, and Typefully, I really hope you guys watch this and fix this. I've been complaining about it for a while. In certain screen resolutions, buttons break, and apparently it's working now because I just resized things slightly when I made this bigger or smaller. But it's so easy to get into a state where I can't hit the back button, and it's really common at my resolution. So, yeah. Typefully, I've tried fixing this myself. The code base is not easy to work in. If you could, now that I've given you this free promo, please fix my bug. That's all I got on this one. I'm planning to do a follow-up in the near future that is dedicated exclusively to CLI tools because I have a lot of those and I don't want that to just be all of this video. So let me know if you're excited for a CLI tools follow-up. Until next time, peace nerds.